Brian Torpy, at what point does the church officially consider you a Scientologist? After taking the introductory courses, once you start processing, etc.? It's a great question, Brian, because statistically speaking, Scientology has counted almost anybody who's ever bought anything from them or even wandered into their shop as a Scientologist. And they've counted, this is how they get away with talking about how Scientologist has millions of members. Well, it doesn't have millions of members. Scientology has never had millions of members. And at most, according to the size of the central files at Clearwater and in Los Angeles, about 750,000 names. I mean, that's really, they don't even have 1 million names in their central files. And the central files is a setup where they have a folder made with your name and address on it, and all the correspondence and information about you goes in those folders. So that's not your pre-clear folder. That's not the confidential folder where they're keeping all the notes from the worksheets from the sessions. That's a pre-clear folder. The central files folder is where they keep all the paying customers, basically, anybody who's ever bought anything. And the number of names in the central files should be a pretty good indication of how many Scientologists there have ever been anywhere, or at least book buyers and service buyers. Because you can just wander in off the street, buy a Dianetics book, and you'll have a central files folder. I mean, it's that quick. But you're not a Scientologist after buying a Dianetics book, but that's what they count, right? Anybody who's bought a book or a service. All right, so the Clearwater, the Flag Service Org's central files is, not 1 million people. I don't know the exact number, but I do know that in Big Blue, the number was around 650 to 750,000 names. I wanted to get all that out of the way to kind of clarify this business about millions of Scientologists, because this gets floated around and we all know it's complete crap. But why? How do they even think to get away with that? Well, they get away with it because in their minds, if you've bought a book or you have reached for Scientology in some way, then you are a proto-Scientologist, right? And you need to then get onto the bridge to total freedom, the level, the services that are offered that go all the way up to the highest confidential levels. The lowest levels of the bridge are the introductory services. So if you come in and do a communications class, or how to raise your children better class, or how to improve your marriage class, these are $40, $50 courses. And you go in and do one of those, and they're going to have a central files folder for you, and they're going to start thinking that you are like this beginning proto, like I said, sort of pre-hatched Scientologist. The point I remember, and what I would think of when I was a Scientologist and a staff member, as to whether a person had arrived or not, had really made it as a Scientologist and would now be somebody, I would say, yeah, he's a Scientologist. A couple things. First thing is that you have done some actual services. Coming in and buying books, if some guy walked in off the street and said, I read Dianetics and I thought it was amazing, and, tell me about this Scientology stuff. I think I want to be a Scientologist. Well, they'd be very, very excited about somebody coming in and saying that, but they wouldn't necessarily think, oh, this guy's, hardcore. This guy's a Scientologist, right? It's like, right? Like, just show me the money a little bit on this, right? Because it's just some guy walking in off the street. He could be, selling him a short story or a short story. That's funny. I'm using Scientology terminology, but, whatever. He's lying to them. So you have to do some services of some kind, even like one of those introductory services, like the basic courses. And then call yourself a Scientologist, right? Like, you could do one of those services and you go, yeah, this isn't really for me, and you go out the door and you never come back. And they might count you, because of your folder and stuff as a statistic, but they're not going to necessarily think in their minds that's a Scientologist. But if you were to do that service and then say, this was amazing, I can't believe how great this is, what else do you guys have? I'm a Scientologist now, right? Because the very loose definition of Scientologist that's used in the church is somebody who wants to use Scientology, or somebody who uses Scientology to improve conditions in life, or somebody who is reaching for Scientology services, has agreed that L. Ron Hubbard is the bee's knees, and wants more, wants to do more, right? They would consider such a person a Scientologist. So that's kind of the dividing line in my experience. I am positive that other Scientologists or former Scientologists would give you different answers from their own experience and background and stuff. But that was how I kind of figured it.